2025, nearly the end of the year, the last half of the last month. This is What is HOA? What is HOA is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a system that gives you infrastructure to manage your payments, your meetings, your invoices, your contracts, your assets across your property. And that includes voting and various other modules for you to distribute information to various stakeholders within your property. That can include other residents, such as owners or tenants, as well as managers and other vendors that may need to input information. A lot of times with properties, it is about disparate information. You have your plumbers with your plumbing information and your electricians with your electrician information, and all these various disparate pieces of information that are not kept at your property. And that is what Zayuk provides, is an infrastructure place for various stakeholders to put information into the system. So today we will be going through various current events in HOAs, and we'll start off with, give me one moment. We will start off with Florida. There were discussions a month or so ago in Florida about dissolving HOAs, and it seems one legislator has actually taken some action on that and has proposed some legislation that would allow the easement of dissolving an HOA. So we'll go through that. A new bill filed in the Florida legislature gives the homeowners ability to vote their HOA out of existence. House Bill 657, introduced by State Representative Juan Porras, would create the Homeowners Association Dissolution and Accountability Act, designed to give residents more control over their property and increase transparency in HOA operations. They aggravate people, but they do keep things in order, said one resident. Under the proposal, a petition signed by 20% of homeowners in a community would require the HOA board to hold a meeting within 60 days. If 2/3 of all members agree, the HOA could be dissolved. Boards would be responsible for liquidating assets, paying debts, handling final contracts, and maintaining or demolishing unsafe properties. Any remaining funds would be distributed among homeowners. Includes penalties for officers who use association funds to influence the outcome of a termination vote, with fines of up to $5,000 per violation. Supporters say the legislation empowers homeowners and addresses frustrations. Real estate professionals caution the dissolving HOAs could have unintended consequences. And it surely will. And so we've actually seen an increase in the number of developers that place their residential products in HOAs. It's easier for them to build in and develop amenities, which is a huge selling point for developers on new builds. And so you've seen an increase in HOA systems. Again, the issue isn't the system itself as much as the way it's implemented and the current operation sets. People want to be involved with their property. When they own something, they want to be involved. And often when they're not, it's more of an issue of the property doesn't have the appropriate tools to distribute information across all of their stakeholders. And sometimes that's intentional, often it's not. Often it's just the reality of the way that the business is held. It's a decentralized asset organization. You own a portion of that business, you own a unit within that business, and understanding the dynamics of that business is gravely important. And most people, when they purchase in an HOA, don't understand the dynamics of that business. And depending on the type of property you own and the rules behind that HOA, the complexity varies. There's a spectrum of complexity. If it's a single family neighborhood, likely your HOA isn't going to be, your fees aren't going to be as high. the HOA isn't as pertinent within your life as, say, if you have a condo, townhome property where uh, you share walls, you share infrastructure, you share roofing, you share plumbing, you share electricity, you share painting, all these various aspects. You might share more common area, a lot of aspects that are deeply integrated within each other, and the ownership share isn't so obvious. Whereas if you own a lot, everything on that lot and above that lot is usually yours, including tree overhang. So if a tree overhangs onto your lot, most laws across the nation will say you have the right to remove anything that overhangs on your lot. But once you don't have a lot, once you have a shared building, shared property, shared infrastructure, including walls and interior systems such as electricity, plumbing, and structural, including, that includes pest control and all these various aspects that uh, are complex when you bring them together. So it's important to have a system that organizes the finances across those stakeholders to maintain the property effectively. And again, it's about taking ownership. It's about giving yourself and your property the tools to be able to understand what you've invested in and to be able to build on that, not just to own it, but to build on it together, to do things easier with each other, and to live in a location where you all want to live at a more affordable rate. Because at the end of the day, that's often why people purchase in an HOAs. If we could all purchase in a 5 bedroom, 5 bath mansion where we take ownership of this massive lot with no neighborhood restrictions or whatever, we do it. Unfortunately, that's frankly out of the budget of most people. So HOAs give people the opportunity to take ownership, to own land, to own property, to own something that they live in, and at a much more affordable rate than if you were to do it alone. So I always say there's multiple aspects to it. Three in particular when you purchase into an HOA. We might go over that later, but my guess is this likely won't pass, and it might. But if imagine you have a condo building, like a 5 story condo building, across maybe 100 units. How do you disband an HOA? How do you maintain that building? How do you maintain the surrounding common areas? It's pretty difficult to imagine it being done in an alternative way that's effective. Um, you really need the tools to be able to handle it. So we'll go through another article. House Bill 657 aims to give Florida homeowners a clear path to dissolve their HOA, can enforce rules on property maintenance. So again, first 20% of the homeowners would need to sign a petition asking to dissolve the HOA in their community. Then within 60 days, the board must hold a meeting. At the meeting, 2/3 of the homeowners would need to vote yes to end the HOA. And if it doesn't pass, they could retry again in 18 months. And, and again, there's a dichotomy here where you have people who don't like paying, but then again, and like there's requirements here. It's not just these things happen magically. And the other thing is, if your HOA is being run effectively, it's actually a it's a nice thing to have, because you don't have to worry about all these things. Frankly, do you really want to worry about maintaining a roof or dealing with plumbing issues or managing the electrical work in your property, or would you rather an organized body that you trust? And the quote unquote term being trust, because most people do not trust their HOAs, and that's the big issue. And Sayuk provides you infrastructure to manage those various issues that you may have across multiple domains, including governance, finances, which include invoices, payments, and contracts, as well as collections, as well as budgeting, as well as reserve study analysis, and we actually go to your property and do the reserve study inspection itself. So we'll move on. This is from uh, park parkrecord.com. Midway Homeowners Association pushes back on Homestead Golf Course redevelopment approval. The HOA is arguing the planning department acted deceitfully when it approved a permit for the redevelopment of the Homestead Golf Club. Chalets on the Creek Homeowners Association is located directly adjacent to the golf course, which is closed for renovations until 2027. President Norm Henderson and Treasurer John Reeves filed the appeal with Midway City and requested that all work on the course be suspended until the Homestead Group LLC applies for a conditional use permit. Homestead Group was granted a permit on September 5th. On December 2nd, the board argued that the site disturbance permit was an excuse to avoid setting conditions for the redevelopment of the course. They said public hearings should be required and held to protect the health and safety of citizens who own property directly adjacent to the golf course. And to be truthful, there have been many reports coming out recently that the rates of cancer amongst residents close to golf courses is higher because there's contamination from, I believe, the water uh, um, being leached with pesticides. Let me Google this and get to Claude, and then I'll have a better analysis of this. Oh, it's Parkinson's disease. Okay. So research shows strong links between living near golf courses and Parkinson's disease due to pesticide exposure. Suggests potential links through pesticide drift and general chemical exposure. That's what the evidence suggests, but studies also highlight skin cancer risk from skunk exposure. Okay. I Googled higher cancer rates, but let me do specifically PD. Yes. Recent studies, 2025, report a significant link between living near golf courses and higher Parkinson's disease rates, with residents within a mile having 126% higher odds likely due to chronic exposure to pesticides and herbicides used for course maintenance, which can contaminate groundwater and air. And interestingly enough, this wasn't the result from people who played, it was the result of people who lived near the golf course. So this becomes a very important dilemma that this homeowner association near Midway has a legitimate case for when you realize, okay, actually, communities or people who live within uh, within the area of a golf course have a 126% increase in the possibility of developing Parkinson's disease. That's huge. That's huge. And so we'll see. This isn't just, oh, I don't want a golf course there because I don't like golf. It's a little deeper than that. Health and safety of citizens who own property directly adjacent to the golf course. But they said either way, the point is moot. The permit should never have been issued because the golf course was not legally established by the city council and Midway mayor 36 years ago. That's when the Homestead Group went through the process of obtaining permits to build condos and a golf course. The city attorney said that the argument was not legitimate. While the pair has a right to appeal certain decisions, said it is not acceptable to reference a city council decision made decades ago. Gordon said Homestead Group did appear before the city council on October 5th, 1987 to file for conditional use permit for a golf course, which was similar to other conditional uses in similar zones. The appeal is ongoing and the city council is set to review a rebuttal from Henderson and Reeves. If I was Henderson and Reeves in this HOA, I would certainly start referencing this data that's come out in 2025 about Parkinson's disease. I mean, it's not lighthearted in any sense of the word. And these are the types of things, as as much as an HOA can be a burden and can, if it's run poorly and managed poorly, and even if there's corruption or embezzlement, a huge which is a huge issue, they still provide you an avenue to defend yourself as a neighborhood where many societies don't have any avenues to defend themselves against neighbors or encroaching parties that can include your local municipality, your state municipality that is looking to encroach on what you believe are your property rights. And when you are as a group, collective, you're much stronger than when you're solo. All right, we'll continue. One community in Natomas is frustrated after a family got a letter telling them their Christmas lights violated the rules of the neighborhood. The lights violate the rules. Holiday decor on the common area, meaning the cathedral arches and the sidewalk, have to be removed. The family said even when the lights go down, their mission to be light won't dim. Quote, Jesus is the reason for this season. Ultimately, we just want to bring joy and happiness to everybody, unquote. This is very unfortunate for an HOA. Truthfully, you don't want to have your HOA in the news for something like this. And if you ever do have your HOA in the news, it's usually because of something like this or something worse. A family in Germantown, Maryland says their homeowner association slapped them with a $650 fine that grows by the day if they don't take down their decorations. We have the manager scene out front, which is like the centerpiece for our display. Shows us our faith and what we believe in and the reason we decorate for Christmas. The HOA called their decorations a nuisance and annoyance. And the family got a lawyer involved. And this is, again, one of the issues people run into with HOAs. And this is a single family lot. So, again, you're going to think that your ownership is probably higher than someone in a condo. And it's very difficult for people to be told that they can't do something on their single family lot. And this very likely depends on the specifics of that HOA's CCNRs and if there are any specific rules regarding lighting and nuisance lighting, or really anything that could. Again, I'm not a lawyer, none of this is legal advice. So, in every context, you go to a lawyer that is certified in your state and hopefully uh, specified in the type of law you're looking to get advice in. And an HOA, that's HOA law. And because laws are unique across states, receiving an HOA lawyer in your municipality or state is very important. From the Las Vegas Review Journal, question: In most cases in Nevada, revised statutes supersede CCNRs unless stated in the NRS. However, there is one statute I wonder about. A meeting of the executive board must be held at least once every quarter and not less than once every 100 days. And our CCNR says every 90 days for board meeting. What should I do? And the meeting is virtual only. This is the answer. NRS 116.3810831 states a meeting of the executive board must be held at least once every quarter, not less than once every 100 days, and must be held at a time other than during standard business. Your board can meet once every 90 days. If for some reason board misses the 90-day period, they can fall back to an extension of 100 days. A meeting can be held on the internet, such as Zoom, as long as the notice for the meeting explicitly states how a homeowner can attend the meeting. This asks about the coordination between executive meetings and homeowner meetings. Executive meetings can often run long because the board generally is discussing and making decisions concerning homeowner violations. You can ask your board to either have a time limit, even if they have to return to executive meeting after the board meeting, or have the executive meeting after the board meeting, or finally have a different day for the board to hold its executive session. So lots of nuances. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to head out. Hopefully, you're all having a great week. It's Tuesday, so hopefully, you're all having a good December and rolling into the holidays joyfully. And